Why have I quit my job? Why have I, bought a van? And why am I going to drive around the country? Well, I'm passionate about the idea that you need to be heard. And I want to stitch these stories together across the states. We're going to find the commonalities. And it's going to be really an amazing experience. And I look forward to you joining me on the jar. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Mental Health Today. It's your host, Ken, and another beautiful day here in Flagstaff, Arizona, as I make my way across the country in the little van you saw there. That old clip, really, of me kind of pontificating what I may find is a common thread. And as I've started off the show, many times, it was mental health. So that led me down the journey to start the JAR Foundation and to really dig into mental health and meet professionals, meet people that have been in the space for a long time, start to glean what information I can, and then realized also a great chance to assemble all these great minds, get it down on record, and put it into a podcast and a great resource for people to go find. And these podcasts will now be put into a data bank for a searchable AI database in partnership with an AI company. And so, which is very psychedelic to me. I never would have thought about that. But so anyway, today's episode is kind of this is a fun one. I think our little pre-chat summed it up. We're about to talk to Luke, and Luke was about the straightest of straight guys you could get. And, now he's probably somebody his father is either proud of or doesn't recognize, or probably both. Or maybe he is just the same guy underneath it all, and he kind of stripped away all this human skin stuff and found his real energy. Luke, welcome to the show, and thanks for being a guest.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. It's I love talking about what I do or about my life, because it's like a very strange movie, and I'm enjoying it. Even though it like everyone else, it has its rough patches, but we are here to learn, and it's true. I've went from one spectrum, I think, all the way to the next.
Yes, yes, you did.
And I like to bridge the two. Yeah.
What what was your view, or what were you doing? What were you doing, and how many years ago was this before you kind of started down the journey? What triggered you into, a psychedelic journey, especially from considering, maybe take us back to being a Royal Marine, and how you ended up here?
Yeah, like I think the U.S. term for what I was an army brat. So I lived in abroad, not far away, but it's Europe. But I didn't grow up in the Netherlands until I was 12. Unlike most of my friends, I didn't really excel in academia. But I did want to make an impact in the world.
Okay.
And so I wound up in the Royal Netherlands Marine Corps, where I served about 4 years. And going in, I was just a shy, insecure boy. But I found my talent, which was stamina, grit, running, and not giving up. So
okay, those are good attributes.
Well, in that line of work, yes, and I inflated my tremendous ego for decades to come there, and I had an interesting time. I did a lot of crazy stuff in the Marine Corps. I went to the Arctic warfare survival training, in the mountain warfare survival training. I went to jungle warfare survival training. I went to Iraq in '91 in the north. Traveled to a lot of different countries for like quote unquote exercises, and it was a full 4 years, and then I decided to leave. And then yeah, I lived out of a backpack for a long time. I did a lot of traveling. I did mountaineering
Mm,
for 20 years. Then at
wow.
one point, I had a normal, quote unquote, normal life, where I was like a sort of a consultant, project manager, advisor type role for companies in the internet sphere, in startups. So I did that for a while, but more and more I felt like a Labrador in a snake pit, and
Mm,
that wasn't really, looking for coming from my background. It's always teams and trust
yeah.
and doing things. So I was like, okay, be careful what you wish for. I know. Well, long story short, I was really, a straight shooter. I was really into sports or more extreme sports, and you know, it was more about, sports and beer and fun. Uh, I wasn't really conscious about anything, and really having like a makeable life. I thought everything could be done, and but at one point, things weren't going that great. I felt
Mm,
less and less at ease, and then a friend told me about psychedelics, and I was like, "What, psychedelics? Yeah." and and I couldn't believe that it was positive. Like I knew
yeah.
drugs like heroin and stuff, from the 80s. Nothing good about that, and I was like, "Wha- So I dove in, and it was like a rabbit hole, and I was like, what? And I didn't know anyone that had done it, in my whole network, So
Okay.
so I
Okay.
so I went and did it, and that experience, I'm actually writing that first experience down as I'm writing a book. Uh, but that was such a deep experience. I must say that, thank God, I don't see a lot of people having these types of experiences. But that first experience that I had was such a mind-blowing, super mystical experience that I had to recover for almost 2 years. I did everything that we try to shield people against who do psychedelics, and that is making harsh, radical decisions that impact your life. And I was like, what? Never gonna say that again. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. You're back.
Okay. Yeah. So, uh, yeah, I was like, I'm never gonna work in the corporate field again, and I made some. I just took a hard turn. I stepped on my sailing yacht and sailed to the Caribbean just to make sense of the planet I was living on and my role in it. It was quite the how do you call it, philosophical journey,
Yes.
because I never had a spiritual life, and
Oh,
so this
okay.
dimension, when suddenly everything was so real that you just read about or seen in movies, or holy scriptures, what is it all
Yes.
about? And when you suddenly realize that everything is real, and it feels more real than real,
Hmm.
yeah, your whole world is upside down. Like, what are we doing here? What am I doing here? So that that was such a shocker, and from that moment on, my life was different, and I didn't know what I was going to do, but it had to be something more conscious. So, to cut a long story short, I in the end, I wound up, after 5 years or so, I got asked, to be a speaker on mental health, and many by a lot of international schools. I worked in a youth prison where we did
Hmm.
over 40 workshops,
Huh.
explaining delinquents, you know why they feel the way they do, and whatever they believe, they're going to be right. So believe in yourself, and these types of workshops, and that was quite successful and popular. Uh, but um, but in the end, uh, yeah, some psychedelics were made illegal here in the Netherlands, and I thought it was a
Okay.
really big shame.
And then I decided to really step in and started working with psychedelics. And I was like, okay, whatever is legal, I want to provide psychological guidance for it to keep people safe,
Mm,
uh, to guard this freedom that we have, because it's important. You can frown upon it because you don't know enough about it. That's fine. If you don't want
right.
anything to do with it, that's fine. But the reasons that they made these compounds illegal were not the right reasons. So
Of, agreed. Yeah.
and so I felt it as a duty to really do provide these services. So at one point, I yeah, ultimately I made a website and I was like, okay, I need to do this guidance, and
Okay. And what does
and then
guidance look like? What is that? What
yeah,
is a,
so I
what
immediately
exactly?
it's so what happens is most people that come on the radar with us, they've done a lot of research already. So
Okay.
they come to our website. It's psychedelicinsights.com, and you can read all about the how we see things, how we do things, and
Okay.
then we go into a video call. Because I think personal contact and trust is really the most important thing. So you build a
Mm,
relationship and you get to know people. First of all, because psychedelics are not for everyone.
yes.
It's not a pill. You know. That you take and then afterwards you're better. It doesn't work that way. It's very psychological, it's very
Yeah.
spiritual, uh, and it will put your philosophy upside down. Your whole worldview could change depending
Yes.
on what it is. And, and so these experiences are quite profound, and we need to prepare people for them. So we bring people in touch with the people that are actually going to guide them. I still do guiding myself, So then we get people into a conversation, into a call, like a Zoom call, where we go over, what their specific situation is, what they hope to get
Okay.
out of it, what they hope to gain or lose from the experience, and then we want to have them frame their intention setting in a sort of a mantra type
Hmm.
question.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so the question they can ask themselves during the trip, which is something like, for instance, what stands between me and self-acceptance, or more self-love,
Okay.
or more inner peace, or whatever your challenge is. Uh, Ultimately, it should always lead to more inner peace, right? So, and um, and then people can do their homework. So there's some time between those calls. We can't rush this. We need to build a relationship with people so they feel really safe. Because on the day when people travel to the Netherlands, there's a specific location that we like to see people at. It's an accommodation that they can rent, and then we show up with two guides, always a female and a male guide, and then we talk and go over everything that we already did.
Hmm.
But we have our first real meeting, so we just sit down and we chat about everything. And most people are a bit nervous, and that's
Yeah.
normal.
Imagine.
you know
Yeah.
and so yeah, we acknowledge it, and we just talk about the things that are important. And ultimately, I also prepare the truffles. We make tea of it, so people don't get nauseous. You don't have to eat it, and then it has to cool down. So you're busy with stuff, and people are getting quite comfortable. And we explain that breath is a superpower. That
Hmm.
when you get intimidated, that you can breathe deeply, and that is your real anchor, for yourself, in the trip.
Yeah.
And that we're always there to help you, and that people are safe, and it's going to be a temporary thing. And also that you realize that it's not so visual. The world is not going to melt. It's more of an energetic thing. And at the peak of it, you can still stand up, go to the
Yeah.
bathroom by yourself, So we let people understand what it's really like in a practical sense. Uh, and then once they drink the tea, yeah, we still chat for 5-10 minutes, but then it's time to make the nest, and then people go to bed and they get comfy. We like to see them go under the covers because psilocybin can make you feel a little cold after an hour. And then
Okay.
initially we put on a guided meditation.
Okay.
So people are not waiting for the onset of the psychedelic. It's like, oh my god, what am I doing? So it's
Oh yeah,
it's
that would be so
it's
weird.
really,
You think I'm tripping? Am I not tripping? You're
yeah,
talking,
yeah, yeah,
but you have some outside thing to kind of talk to your
yeah.
mind. Okay. Okay,
Exactly. So
good. Yeah, very
it's a,
nice.
it's a guided meditation, takes about 20 minutes, and it really helps people relax. It tells you that the world is going to make noise. Let the world just make noise. Don't you worry
Mm,
about a thing. It just relaxes you and let everything happen. You just keep breathing. You can take control of your breath and you can let it go and you can still keep breathing. And it's like this. So it's really, really suitable. And then it's just followed by sort of quote unquote classical music, or sometimes spiritual music. There's some Sanskrit texts or some Latin text, but really no text really. So there's
yeah.
no mental hooks anywhere. It's not a song that will trigger a memory or something.
Yes.
So the music is, yeah, you can't call it really background music, but the music is really an integral part of the experience. It's like the
Mm,
wallpaper of your experience. And in this experience, you close your eyes. This is very important. Why? Because
mm,
you go there where you compute your entire universe. Your entire sense of reality is constructed by your brain. The light that goes in through your retina, sound wave through your ears, electrical vibrations, you feel as temperature. Everything is manufactured in your mind. So you close the
mm,
hatch and you go inside. And that's where your thoughts crystallize. That's where ideas come from. That's where fears are generated. So that's where you go. And what I see in my modest perception of mental health, of the mental health industry, is that more traditionally, I think a lot of focus is put on the symptom, and the symptom is treated as a
mm.
disease. And then
Yes.
people are
Right.
kept away from actually feeling and processing that. And
Mm,
what we are doing is actually bringing people in an environment and in a state of consciousness that with a safe blanket, they can easily go to these feelings or happenings or memories or ideas or concepts or values, whatever comes to mind, pops up, and it's not just one thing. Many things can come.
many things.
That
Yeah.
and that you can then see those things and experience those things somehow in a broader sense, and somehow you can change your perspective on these things. You can somehow
Yeah.
gather more data.
Like a trauma. What do people tell you about it? Like
Yeah,
when they do this and they revisit a childhood, say a
yeah,
sexual assault as a child. I mean,
yeah,
I can think of this as being one of the most powerful memories,
yeah,
damaging events. What do
yeah,
people? You must have had people that share with you that how they look at that when they're on psilocybin.
yeah. What generally happens is that people's perspective changes.
Yeah.
Their perspectives change, and that somehow gives you more data to draw a better subconscious conclusion.
Hmm.
Why is this important? Because consciously, I can tell you I can tell you that you're safe, and then you're going to be okay. That doesn't
Yes.
do anything, because your conscious mind is not in control of your chemical supply. You know, they
Yeah.
don't
Yes.
they
Yeah.
don't they don't control your cortisol, your adrenaline,
Right.
your serotonin, your oxytocin. That you're not behind that tap. Your subconscious is behind that tap. Yeah.
Yes.
So when someone discusses a certain topic, someone can you can drive someone up the wall. You know, that will be adrenaline and cortisol. You know, then there's an unresolved issue there, and
Yes.
psychedelics allow you to see those defensive defenses and coping mechanisms, and they allow you to see how it affects other people around you, how it affects people you love,
Mm, yeah. This is the
how
part,
you
right?
could respond, you know, and how you do respond. And if your parents weren't very nice, you know, it can make you see that they tried really hard and that was really the best that they could do, you know, being
Yeah. Yeah.
victims of their own parents, you know.
Yes.
So, you know, and how how that roll rolls downhill, you know, and uh, and so it gives you somehow it gives you more information, more data in an emotional way. So there's a lot of crying as well.
Yeah.
That can allow you to accept these parts of you that you wanted to keep away from you. You know,
That's
so
so, I mean,
ultimately,
that's powerful, right? Like you are like
yeah. But these are the
you
dynamics. Yeah,
you see everything in a way that you're like, "Oh." And then I love what you said. You accept yourself. You accept this is part of your life. And
exactly.
you're
Yeah.
healed in a way. You know, you're
Well,
almost healed.
well, we like to say that specifically a first psychedelic is the start of your healing. You know, because we
Mm,
see people that have been, you know, struggling with depression for 20 plus years, you know, and then they come, and it's not going to be over after one psychedelic, you know. But
no,
but
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 the
but you can see yourself in the psychedelic, you know, also struggling,
oh,
and the parts of you that you don't like about you, or that you judge, or the times that you hurt other people knowingly or unknowingly, it can allow you to just see that that was the best version of you that day, you know, and that you
yeah.
can, you know, you can love that person, you know, you can make it part of you. And that's
Mm,
what is becoming whole or healing, you know, it's all about,
yeah, yeah.
to
And inner
accept
peace.
it, to understand it, and to love it, and to forgive it, you know.
Forgive it.
And I think this is what specifically psilocybin does. It really connects, you know. So it connects you to your heart. And I think a lot of people
Mm,
are disconnected to their emotions because, you know, when trauma happens, you know, or life happens,
yeah,
you know,
you gotta break that.
we're like, okay, this was so uncomfortable. We're never going to do that again. Please don't bring that up,
Yes.
you know. And that is the first disconnect.
Yes.
Yeah. And actually that needs to happen. You need to put it back on the table and really
Yes.
express what it really does to you. Because what most people don't do, what I've never done, I was never taught, you know, I never had an example. But that is to express your emotions, you know. So you
Mm,
don't become your emotions, you know. You can say, oh, that really upsets me, you know, instead of, you know, being the anger.
and sent being upset. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because as soon as you do that, you're
Mm.
not hijacked.
Then you're hijacked. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
kind of interrupted you. So you're, so
no
people
worries.
go through, they're under the blankets, they got the music going, you're a few hours in. How big is the dose that you've created for people with the tea? What is there a relative dry dose to that? Is that 5 grams of psilocybin
Uh,
or
no. That will be a lot. Um, no, yeah, we use fresh truffles, and generally elsewhere they use dried grind
yes.
mushrooms.
Yeah.
So so we use about 30 to 45 grams of fresh strong
F-
truffles, which
Okay.
is about the equivalent of about 3 to 5 dried grams of mushrooms.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the higher dose, more or less. And
Yeah,
this is
that's a
what
real
we give.
dose. Yeah.
Yeah,
Three and a half
it's a real
grams.
dose. Yeah. So we prepare people for it, and they come to us for transformation. They don't come to us for a fun for a fun experience. They
Yeah,
come
no,
to us
that's
to transform themselves, and we try to provide the coaching and the insights to help them. And the high doses, yeah, they help us and they help clients get there. So the whole experience, the whole trip lasts about 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours.
yeah,
Sometimes
yeah.
people are out of it sooner. Sometimes people are in it longer, but generally 9 out of 10 times, after 5 hours, people are relatively sober, but not the same. They will be completely mind blown often, and they like to be silent and stare into the distance because because of a
Oh,
gigantic download that still needs to happen.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
the drive is reformatting still. It's a
exactly. Yeah,
reformat. It's a total
yeah,
reformat.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's a
everyone has
reformat.
got a uniquely unique life experience, and so these types of experiences are uniquely unique and individual. It's different every time. uh every time, something else lays heavier on your heart than the day before. So
Yeah.
everything, it's you actually go to what in the old days used to be called, the underworld or the spirit world.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just for argument's sake think that the chemicals that we flush our brains with, that we are biological receivers that are chemically tuned, then we can receive more information. So psilocybin allows us to see deep into our subconscious, for instance.
Yeah. Basically, peel
Yeah,
away the
yeah,
layers.
yeah.
Is there any data coming, and I'm really ignorant to this part of this. Um, is there any data around psilocybin and psychedelics? Are we seeing any trials,
Oh
or
yeah, a
maybe
lot.
this stuff is? Yeah,
Yeah,
just
a
curious.
lot.
What does that
Yeah.
look like?
Yeah, I think most of the research that has been done, I mean, even before the war on drugs, there were like 40,000 studies on psychedelics very
I mean,
positively, mostly LSD.
the CIA knows a lot,
Yes,
apparently.
yes, 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 yes. They know a lot, and they tested on the on the military,
Just
and
randomly go into a town and dose the water and see what the
yeah,
fuck happens. Um,
exactly. Yeah. So,
nuts.
but yeah, one of the things that has been shown is that psilocybin, and at least here in the Netherlands, like the truffles,
Yeah.
they have an EU food safety certification. It's like an FDA approved thing.
Wow.
Uh, so so they are considered food. They are not toxic. They are not addictive, and you cannot die from them. So even as a psychedelic, they are partial antagonists. So they don't cover your entire synapse. Only partial. You cannot OD from it.
Yeah.
So it's medically safe. But emotionally, yeah, you need some guidance because something's gonna something's gonna happen, something's gonna shift, in your perception. So
I like.
most of the science has been focusing on depression and
Okay.
anxiety and end of life distress, and there are some very compelling video documentation of the testimonials of these cancer patients that have had their psilocybin session, like their one, maybe their only one, that has such a dramatic, positive, impressive, yeah, impact,
The end of life
and
stuff. I've seen some of that.
yeah, it's so beautiful, and this is
Mm,
what we see in our clients, like yeah, sometimes nothing happens, and sometimes everything
Yeah.
happens. You know. Yeah.
I think that goes, Vaughn, it goes a lot to intentionality and your willingness to give in. Because if you are end of life, you are going to be on a way different, your intentions going into the trip are going to be very, very different. The treatment, right? Because you go into the treatment, you're looking for, you're going to give yourself over, right? There's no ego left, right? You're dead already. You're dying and you're looking for answers. You're a completely different place.
Yeah, don't underestimate the ego. The ego is always there to keep you safe, and it will do.
Okay, the
So
ego's still there.
yeah. The ego will still be there, but yeah, I mean, we've seen about 1,000 clients, since 2017.
Wow,
It's a lot of people. So
that's a lot of people.
we've also seen people in their end of life,
Okay.
and we've also seen people after some serious diagnosis,
Mm-hmm.
and we've seen people that thought they'd just do it for fun, and we've seen a lot, and so still it's different for everyone, and
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think
Who's a
the
good
worst.
candidate?
What?
Who's a good candidate? Like if somebody's listening to this and they're thinking, it sounds interesting, but am I the right person?
Yeah,
Is that
I think
or in the
it's
right point of my life?
um, Terence McKenna, who is a great psychonaut and a great speaker on psychedelics. He's an icon. He's
Okay.
deceased already, but yeah, he had a brilliant quote which I can't replicate. But it was something about along the lines of this. It's having a life without having a psychedelic experience is like living a full life without ever having sex. It's it
A fu-
it 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 is like you're missing the whole point of a whole dimension of it.
yeah.
So
Yes. Yes.
you can go through life with one lens. You're born. You meet your partner.
Mm,
You have a family. You have a job. Shit happens. You give it another try. Friends die. Family dies. Life is a continuous journey, but
mm-hmm.
you have one lens, and that lens gives you all the opinions that you have, gives you all the ideas that you have, gives you your coping mechanisms and your defensiveness and how you freeze up or how you fight back or how you flee situations that you can't deal with. You know, it makes it really who you are. This
Yes.
lens, and if you can change that lens, you know in a day,
Mm,
in one day, you can change that lens for a multitude of lenses, from a fisheye to a telelens to a
yes. Yes.
microscope, and you can turn it upside down, and all of a sudden you can have so many perspectives and an awareness that is just incomprehensible, and you can have insights, and you can have such depth and such clarity, and even like a mystical experience, like you can become one with everything.
Yes.
You can have a god experience. This doesn't have a place in our culture. It has a place in
Mm,
Indian culture. It doesn't have a place in our culture. This is something that a great book is written about, by Brian Marorescu, the immortality key. And yeah, these are very, very, very potentially very profound experiences. So is it for everyone? I think, yeah, it is for everyone, but it's also not for everyone.
mm-hmm.
If you're not interested, go about your life, be kind. If you have a harder time being kind to yourself, you know, have a look and see, if you can have a nicer life, because everyone is carrying around subconscious values and convictions and assumptions about yourself. Everyone is not good enough for some crazy reason. We're all not good enough for some reason. That is a lie. All those fears that you carry around, they're lies.
Yeah.
They're lies. They're not true. And when you want to see true and you don't believe in magic, then step forward, and let it be shown, Step into this ring, and challenge yourself and see if you can dip your toe in. And the beautiful thing about psilocybin is that you can dose it. You don't need to go off the deep end. You can tip your toe in it, and you can even start in microdose. And you can do it and at a festival dose that you just have the giggles.
Just to elevate, elevate your mood.
It. Yeah, so you can get so you can befriend these types of experiences. What is in the news and what is in the media is really the medicalization of these types of experiences. But ultimately, it has to do with consciousness, and the less conscious we become, the more uneased we become.
Yes.
And unease or dis-ease is the problem.
Yeah, like you said, finding that inner peace.
Yes, but it's already in your words. It's called disease.
Yeah.
Dis-ease, unease. So
unease,
it has to do with
dis-ease.
peace. Yeah, it's already in your word. So
yeah. Luke, how do people find you? I guess just a reminder of the website, maybe kind of would help wrap it up.
Yeah.
PsychedelicInsights.com.
Yeah.
Yes. And they can find out, and I had a poke around there. It's a great little spot to go have a look. Really, I learned a little bit today. I really enjoyed the real description of how it goes. That's something that's missing from the show so far is, how getting people into the space and exactly how the process works. And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Again, I want to thank you a bunch, Luke, for taking time.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And this episode's live now, and it'll be on, it's on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. And then I'll get you an audio version out in about a month. And this will also go into the archives for the artificial intelligence database. Kind of try to get that, put all that into my brain, which is a really interesting project. But hang around for 30 seconds. I got one more question for you on the other side, and I'll see you in 30. Thanks everybody for listening and supporting Mental Health Today. Share this episode and share what we're doing so we can get more great guests like Luke.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, loose, baby.
But we're about to go and make this vessel with these great professionals at Public Glass. We're not part of the community, but we're from the outer family of glass blowing. Yeah, we're going to go make a magical giant jar with optic lenses so that if you turn it, it changes all the time. So if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.